Hi, I'm Bart Hansen. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the instructions in the video description.
Started 1-2 game,
Okay.
and I had 250 on the button, and I covered the table. There was, mostly short stacks, anywhere between $80 and 175.
What's the structure for the buy-in? Is it like a 200 cap?
It's
or something?
200 max. That's it.
In Jacksonville.
Yeah, actually 300. Sorry, 100, 300, 300.
Okay.
300 max in Jacksonville.
So you get a fair amount of short stacks, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, like I said, it was the same when I was playing before, but before I left, I was playing strictly 2-5 for like almost a year. I hadn't played 1-2 forever, but
Okay.
since I'm just coming back.
Just hold on one second, Darren. I'm gonna lock the call up here because we've got somebody else. Okay, so 1-2 no limit, Jacksonville 250 effective. All right, go ahead.
All right. So it was pretty early in the session.
Yep.
And there was limping going on left and right. People were making it, and call it, just raising straight 5, and it's just, just bad. So I'm on the button, and we had a under the gun raise to 10.
Okay.
And then we had a middle position call.
Okay.
And I called on the button with Jack 9 of hearts.
Okay, so under the gun to 10, MP calls. Do you remember how deep the under the gun guy was when he made it 10?
About 150-ish.
150-ish. So, I mean, it's sort of, here's the thing. I know it's kind of boring, and listen, like if you hadn't played poker in a long time, but when you play like these severely small restricted cap games, I gotta tell you, it's like 90-95% pre-flop. If the guy opened with a 150 stack from under the gun to 10, you're almost calling 10% of his stack off with Jack 9 suited. It's probably just a fold at like, he's got, because he's open. See, the thing is that like, yeah, he's 75 big blinds, but you see these crazy open sizes, right? Because he's making it 5x. Listen, like I'm not saying that it's probably pretty close. It breaks the 35 time rule from CLP, that's for sure, right? Like making 350,
Right,
but
right.
obviously there's more to it.
Of course.
You have some high card value and connectives. Okay, so MP calls, hero calls on button.
And,
okay.
Yep, small blind folds and big blind calls.
Okay. Small blind folds and big blind calls. Okay. So it's four ways.
I was basically trying to see every flop I could on the button with something halfway reasonable.
Yeah.
As far as that goes in position.
Yeah.
So the big blind calls, and we go to flop.
Yep.
So we're four-handed.
Yep.
And the flop comes down 10 of clubs, 8 of clubs,
Yep.
3 of hearts.
So you flop an open-ended straight draw, right?
And the back door with the 3 of hearts.
Yep. Okay.
And it checks all the way around to me on the button.
Okay. Checks to hero. Okay.
And listening some of the new stuff, I actually bet 15.
So you sized a little bit kind of on the smaller side?
15 into 40.
Okay.
And the big blind calls.
Calls.
Middle position 1 calls.
So this is sort of the paradox here. What was your name again? Darren, right? This is sort of the paradox here of like playing small stakes and some of the sizing stuff. Like in theory, you're not doing anything wrong. You're betting 15 into 40, which is about 40% of the size of the pot. You only really need to get through the big blind. He's the only one that's naturally checked to the pre-flop raiser from under the gun, right? Like MP has checked here. But sometimes you just get really, really strange responses when you bet really small at these levels, like the guy in the big blind check raising you with like king 8 or something because he thinks that you're not strong. But then on the flip side, we say it's 250 effective. On the flip side, though, it's like how much money do these guys have? Because like if you start putting money into like 20 or 25 and a guy only has like 80, you might commit yourself. So you've got to look at like all these different things. You've got to visualize the stack sizes. Do you remember how much the big blind had off the top of your head?
Big blind had, it was about 150 also. They were both right around 150.
Same thing with MP1? Okay. So, I mean, I would just tend as a reflex to go more like 20, 25, but, okay, so you bet 15 and big blind. Pre-flop raiser folds, right?
Yeah, the pre-flop he folded.
Okay, let's go to the turn.
And the turn is the 6 of spades.
6 of spades. Okay.
And big blind. So now we're just heads up with a big blind myself.
Oh, I thought MP1. I thought you said MP1 called. I'm sorry.
I apologize.
Okay.
He's at pre-flop later. Yeah, forgot the third piece.
So check to hero. You bet 15. Big blind calls. Everyone else folds. So you're now you're heads up basically, right? And the pot's like 70.
Yep.
Okay.
And I decided to check back. I didn't really fight. I was going to bet a heart, a jack, and obviously the 7 or the queen.
So I like that. I mean, I like that. I definitely like that check back, not just because 7-9 comes in, but I don't know if you heard the lead of the show here today, but this is a configurational issue, like I said before too, right? Like you bet and next to act calls you, right? And this is the guy that naturally checked the preflop raiser. So we don't have any information about the strength of his hand because he's basically always going to check to the preflop raiser. So I wouldn't barrel this card for sure because this guy's got a 10 here a lot. He's never folding, right? 7-9 is another obviously logical draw that he could have. A lot of the pair plus straight draws here too. I mean, yeah, he could have clubs, but I certainly would not. I'm not going to barrel a card that doesn't change top pair when I bet sort of as a button steal with a semi bluff when next to act calls me from the big blind with like the initial preflop raiser to left to act and somebody else. So I like your check back. All right, so let's go to the river.
All right, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Change the 6 to a 5. I apologize. I have my note written down wrong here.
Okay, so a 6 to a 5, but even still, I think it changes things a little bit. I think if it changes it in the sense that you could put a little bit more pressure on a guy, but still, like if he's calling with, he's probably still pretty 10 heavy here. It depends on how loose he is, but obviously it changes something a little bit. You know what I mean? All right, so let's go to the river.
And 7 of clubs.
7 of clubs. Are you sure about that? So it completes the front door flush.
Yeah, 7 of clubs.
Okay, 7 of clubs. Yeah.
And the big blind goes bets 50.
And the big blind bets 50. So you bet 15 into 40 on the flop. He calls, so it's 70. Check on the turn. River, you make your straight. He bets 50, and he's got like what, like maybe like 80 or 90 left,
85
something like that.
85, yeah, and like 85, 90 bucks, something like that.
85, 90 bucks, something like that. I mean, I think you just call here when the front door flush comes out and he bets. I don't know. Someone's saying raise fold. He only has 90 bucks left in his stack. I mean, I played a hand against Dave on Live at the Bike where you can multiply the stakes by like 100. We played like 100 times larger than you. Well, actually, maybe 50 times larger than you with top 2 when he turned a set here. It kind of reminds me of this a little bit. I think the play here is just a call. I don't know. I mean, because sometimes when people only have like a little bit left, you will get called wider. But I just don't know what he's leading here. I mean, it will suck if he has like a set and he would have called the river or like a hand like top 2 and he doesn't know what he's doing. Obviously, I don't play like a whole lot of 1-2. I bet you some people.
I'm trying not to play 1-2 for long. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But I bet you maybe some 1-2 regs could actually convince me that sometimes you would jam here because the guy only has 80 or 90 left. But I mean, on paper it looks like just a call. What did you do?
I called with the straight, obviously, and he showed pocket 3s.
Ah, see. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I mean, obviously, like it's sort of like, you know, it just goes to show you like these guys don't really know like what's going on because like what's your flop bet range then check on a blank turn? Like you bet the flop on the smaller side, right? He calls.
I'm showing club. I'm repping clubs.
Well, I mean, you're not repping. You have a range of hands, right? That you bet on the flop, right? But when you bet the flop and then check back on a blank turn, I feel like you have a lot of flushes there. And I don't know, like, and then when he bets the flush draw, even if you were like betting an 8, let's say you were betting an 8 or like one of your worst 10s and you checked it back on the turn, right? Because he called next to act, like 9-10 or like ace 8 for protection or some shit like that, right? Like, are you going to call the river bet of 50 when the club comes in and Jack 9 comes in? I mean, the two draws have come in, right? Jack 9 and clubs. So if you have a mediocre sort of protection bet type of hand on the flop, you're not calling the river, and you still have a range of flush draws that are there. Obviously, this guy he doesn't know. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.